Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to, again, the Limitless Gov program. We are now on our lesson 2, which is identifying community needs through AI-powered research. I'm so grateful that all of you are here on a Friday afternoon, and I'm super excited um, to hear the progress you have made in your vivid vision. Excuse me, your vivid vision as well as your design briefs. Okay, so can I ask who here have completed their vivid visions and design briefs? Can you let me know in the chat box, please? Any groups who have completed their vivid vision and design briefs? If you're not yet done or still working on it, can you let me know in the chat box, please? Wow, learn. Always the first one. Thank you so much, Learn. Project Uswag is already done. What about the others? If you're not yet done, that's okay. I know we sent it late, no? So we will give you until Monday to complete your vivid vision as well as your design brief. Your design brief, as mentioned in the last session, is very important because this is where your group will try to define further the problem that you are trying to solve, especially which barangay, which target community in your locality would you like to focus on for this particular project. Vivid Vision is done for the team of Gian, Marco Bernades, and the others are still working on theirs. Okay? So again, you have until Monday to submit your Vivid Visions and your design briefs. Okay, we will now proceed with our lesson 2. But before that, let's have a quick recap of what we discussed last Friday. So last Friday, we discussed about what exactly is design thinking in more detail. We also showed you the design thinking process, as well as some successful case studies on the application of design thinking, especially in the social impact space. No? So paano ba siya nakakatulong sa paggawa ng mga more innovative social impact projects so that we can create change in our communities. Can you let me know in the chat box, what do you remember about design thinking? What do you remember about design thinking? What is design thinking? All right. No answers. That's okay. We'll have a brief recap. But before we proceed, I'd like to request for everyone's attention on some announcements. So first, we are very happy that some of you are very enthusiastic posting screenshots on Facebook of our sessions. But can we please request that you don't post screenshots that show the names of our other participants? Kasi baka merong mga sensitive information that they don't want to be published online, and we don't want to be violating that Data Privacy Act, right? So, for example, information that might prevent others from sharing again kasi baka ma-post sila online. No? So, while it's okay to post screenshots of our lessons, specifically of the slides that you see on the screen, make sure that when you post online, so again, posts are welcome, they're much appreciated. Just be careful to make sure na hindi tayo nagpo-post ng mga pangalan, no, kasi baka hindi nila gusto na makita yung pangalan nila no, dun sa mga pinopost nyo. Okay? Can I have your confirmation on this? Can you give me a thumbs up, please? All right. I see a lot of thumbs up. Thank you so much. Because this is a safe space where you are free to share your ideas and so on. No? So, and hopefully the things we discuss here, it won't not necessarily not go out, but make sure you make your correct judgment on what to share and what not to share to other people. Okay? Okay, thank you so much. So we said that innovation is a creative problem-solving methodology. In the same way that design is about creative problem solving. So pinakita rin natin sa inyo yung sweet spot of innovation. Right? So we have here people, technology, and business, or viability and sustainability. So we start with people, okay? Understanding the needs of the people that we want to help. Okay, we also consider technology. So if we're going to have an idea, can we implement it with the help of a technology? Can we implement a technology in what way? And when we say technology, it doesn't have to be an app. Okay? For example, if your problem is on potable water, right, and you want to implement straws that would make dirty water drinkable, the straw can be considered a technology. So dun pumapasok yan. Business or sustainability. So this means, will we be able to sustain this in the long run? Will we have funds to sustain this in the long run? No, so that's people, technology, and business. If we hit these three things in our innovation project, then we can say that we hit the sweet spot of innovation. Design thinking is a mindset and methodology for innovation. Okay, I showed you last week the mindsets that we have to keep in mind in order to successfully use design thinking in innovating for social change. Okay, I also showed you the 5-step design thinking process, which I'll share again later now to refresh your memory. What are the applications of design thinking in creating social innovations? At the LGU level or at the local government level, napakaraming uses ng design thinking. Pwede natin siyang gamitin upang gumawa ng mga new programs, more innovative programs related to education, to community development, food security, healthcare, public sector innovation, financial inclusion, environmental sustainability, inclusive design, and so on. And all of you have been given problem focuses, right? You have been given sectoral issues that your team will focus on. So this is us really applying design thinking and trying to come up with innovative solutions for your local community challenges. So these are the mindsets na kailangan nating i-imbibe, kailangan nating isabuhay, kumbaga, as we go through the design thinking process. So first is putting people first, thinking visually, meaning if we have visual representations of our ideas, then the better. The main reason that we ask you to come up with a vivid vision board, vivid vision text, and as well as the design brief is because when we are trying to innovate and create something radical, something new, mas maganda pag meron siyang visual representation. Kasi mas namamanifest natin siya, di ba? Or mas nakikita natin yung future na gusto nating puntahan. Radical collaboration, design doing, experimentation and iteration, embracing uncertainty. So we all discussed during the kickoff that the design thinking process is a messy process. In fact, it looks like this. But dahil magulo ang innovation, diba? So maraming moving parts. It's not easy. It's very challenging, but it's also very rewarding. Kaya nagkaroon ng 5-step design thinking process. So that's empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Okay? Can you let me know in the chat box, what do you remember about how we describe design thinking as a process? Starts with the letter N. What did we say design thinking is? Design thinking is non. Do you remember?
Non-linear.
Yes, thank you so much, Ramil. No? So it's non-linear. So kahit na meron siyang pagkakasunod-sunod, it doesn't mean na hindi ka pwedeng bumalik. Okay? And design thinking is also a way-finding tool. Para siyang mapa, kahit na hindi mo pa alam kung ano yung destination na mapupuntahan mo. Because the design thinking process, unlike the scientific method, is used primarily for creating and innovating and giving birth, no, to something new. Okay, so what will we cover in today's lesson? So today we'll cover the importance of empathy in the design thinking process. I'm sure you remember that step 1 of the design thinking process is empathize, right? You will also learn about what is generative AI and how generative AI tools can support research and even data gathering. And we will also give you the activity so that you can apply these AI-powered techniques to conduct user research and analyze community challenges effectively. Are you all excited for our lesson for today? You're excited? Can you give me a yes in the chat box, please? All right, I see Ollie, I see Ian, Ramil, Isa, Devi, Learn, Angeline, and so on. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, let's dive into it. So we'll now go into the step 1 of the design thinking process, which is empathize. Okay, so what exactly is empathy? So we all know empathy as the act of putting yourselves in the shoes of other people. Empathy is a skill, okay? And it's a skill that can be developed over time, okay? Empathy is having the ability to step aside or set aside your own perception, your own biases, your own preconceived notion, and really try to understand where people are coming from. So as you see in the screen, no, so it's having the skill to set aside your own biases and just being there to understand really where people are coming from. So when we empathize, we use active listening, we use our understanding, and we turn them into insights. So what is our main goal in this step of the design thinking process? The main goal in this step is to gain a deep understanding of the user's needs, experiences, and challenges to inform our design or innovation process. Why do we need to understand them? Because how well we know the problems of our users and stakeholders is equivalent to how well we can come up with a solution for them. Okay? The reality is, especially in our government agencies, most of the time we assume what people need, right? We assume that since they are this and that, they need a solution. But design thinking teaches us that we need to go back to the people. We have to continuously empathize with them to truly understand where they are coming from so that we can come up with better projects, better policies, and better solutions. So as you can see in the slide, there's also a difference between empathy and sympathy. Ayan. So when you're sympathizing with someone, so for example, a friend of yours failed an exam, so you tell them, I know how you feel, right? I know how you feel. Or maybe you will tell them in Tagalog or Filipino, kawawa ka naman. So you feel a certain pity or compassion for them. That's sympathy. When you're trying to empathize, you can feel what they are feeling. Okay? You can try to imagine yourself in their situation and understand where they are coming from. So that's empathy versus sympathy. So how can we empathize with our target audience, users, stakeholders in the community? So say, for example, if your problem focus is teenage pregnancy, maybe you put there in, okay, more people are joining in. Maybe you put there that your target people that you want to help are young girls who are, in that teenage era, no, not necessarily pregnant, but like who are at risk of uh, being pregnant at their age, at their young age, no. So How can we empathize with them? So we can empathize with them by conducting user interviews to gather qualitative data. Okay? I'm sure you know how to do interviews, but we will teach you further how to have better user interviews. But aside from the interviews, because sometimes interviews are not enough, it's also great to not just interview them, but observe them in their natural environment. So for example, you can go to your barangay, you can observe them in their usual hangout spots. So halimbawa, madalas silang magtambay sa basketball court, di ba? So aside from sparking stories with them, yung tinatawag natin pakikipagkwentuhan sa Filipino, i-observe nyo din, di ba? Ano yung mga interactions nila with their peers? Ano yung mga usual nila na ginagawa? What keeps them busy and so on? When you combine user interviews with observation and even immersion, if you're from the same barangay, right, then your insights can even be stronger. Now you combine the interviews and the observations. This is necessary because sometimes people will tell you something but do otherwise. Diba? So for example, you ask someone, let's say a teenager, how many hours do you spend on social media? Okay? Of course, hindi naman niya sasabihin sa'yo na 5 oras ako sa internet ng isang araw or baka mas matagal pa. Okay? Siyempre mahihiya tayo na sabihin yung actual data. So we have to combine them with observations. If you have data as well that you can gather, quantitative data, then that's even better. You can also engage in immersive experiences to understand further their context. And later, I'll teach you what are personas or empathy maps. But I think in our last lesson, we had a practice of creating a persona. And it includes as well yung creating different personas for different user types. Okay? So what are the tools that we use in this step? So we create customer personas. A journey map is also something that's helpful, although not necessarily a requirement, no? Journey maps are visual representations of the journey that your persona takes throughout the process. I'll give you an example. If you're trying to address, let's say, scholarship application, okay, or education in your community, in your LGU, and you found out na ang hirap mag-apply sa scholarship, okay? Using a journey map, you can plot yung mga steps that they need to take. For example, if you're targeting students, ano yung mga steps that they need to take in order to get a scholarship? And what are the hurdles, the pain points that they encounter along the way? Okay? But for this particular program, will only be requiring you to create a customer persona. Customer persona is a visual representation. It's a fictional character, semi-fictional character that represents a specific segment of your target audience. It's based on research and insights into your customers' demographics, behaviors, motivations, and goals. At our work at Limitless Lab, we have designed so many programs and projects like websites, toolkits, capacity development programs, and so on. The persona serves as our North Star, it's our guiding document in every decision that we make, every design decision we make, no, in the initiatives that we are implementing. It's very important because it helps us to humanize the people that we are trying to help. Kasi madalas, 'di ba, when we do community programs, for example, we say, "Oh, we want to help PWDs. We want to help teenage mothers." Okay? When we plan things, most of the time we blanket a particular sector, or PWDs or teenage parents, without realizing that there are individual stories, right, behind these stakeholders. And our job is to dive deeper and to understand the motivations, the goals, the stories of the people that we are trying to help, to fully understand them. So here's a good example of a persona. I think I've shown this to you as well last week. So Marvin, the senior high graduate, fictional character. This was created after conducting 3 to 5 interviews, no, with senior high graduates in neighboring towns in Metro Manila. So the picture that you see is something that we lift online, okay? But the goals and aspirations, frustrations, motivations, values, and beliefs, all of these data are generated. So we got it based on similar characteristics, similar goals and aspirations of the people that we have interviewed. So that's how you make a customer persona. Okay? So what are some steps that you need to take and keep in mind when you conduct your user interviews, when you go back to your community and conduct your user or stakeholder interviews? Number one, you need to prepare open-ended questions. Okay? So you have to come ready with some guide questions. But of course, the guide questions are just guide questions. So naturally, when you interview, mag-e-evolve yung discussion. Maaring may mga lumabas na topics na hindi necessarily nandun sa prepare nyo but are important. And it's okay if you don't use all of your guide questions. They are just guide questions after all. Number two is to build rapport. It's very important. Okay? And I think many of you will not have a hard time building rapport with your stakeholders because you're also residents, no, of the barangays where you will conduct the interviews with. Active listening is very important. What is active listening? So active listening is really trying to listen without the uh, without the parang pressure to respond, right? Sometimes kasi when we are listening, iniisip na natin agad ano yung sasagot mo, no? Or ano yung ire-respond mo, okay? When you try to actively listen, okay, you don't necessarily have to respond. You can ask more questions though, okay? And another way to make sure that you're active listening is paraphrasing how you understand yung sinabi sa'yo ng interviewee mo. So that's a form of active listening. Okay? Encourage storytelling. So the more stories that your interviewees will tell you, the better. Because some things, di ba, na discuss natin sa design thinking, we consider both quantitative and qualitative data. Qualitative data, most of these you can get in stories. Okay? But we're not saying na hindi importante itong qualitative data. In fact, there are a lot of insights that we can get from stories in our communities. Observe nonverbal cues. Okay, so for example, if you're talking to a potential stakeholder, like a teenage mom, and you saw that when you ask this particular question, biglang nag-iba yung mood niya, bigla niyang clinose yung arms niya, bigla niyang wala siyang umiba ng position and so on. No? So observe these nonverbal cues, take note of them, and then later on assess what can these possibly mean. Okay? Follow-up questions, of course, very important. Don't make it like like a job interview. Okay? Dapat para lang siyang nakikipagkwentuhan ka habang nag-i-interview. No? Ask why. Dig deeper. Okay? Ask follow-up questions. Okay. Oh, and by the way, if you have any questions along the way, so just put them in our chat box and I'll do my best to answer them later. Okay. So other tips, of course, truly empathize. Okay. When we try to empathize with our community members, you strip away yourself of ego. All right. Because, you know, sometimes baka meron tayong notion na oh, yung mga community members namin, mas magaling ako sa kanila kasi ako nakapag-aral ako, college ako, and so on. So, that's the wrong way to do your empathy interviews. Okay? If you truly want to help your community, if you truly want to empathize with them, tanggalin nyo muna yung ego na yan. And we try to truly understand them, no, and where they are coming from. I don't even defend yourself. If you hear something na parang hindi ka nag-agree or something like that, it's all about understanding where they are coming from. Record and take notes, of course, very important. But of course, you need to ask for consent when you conduct these interviews, okay? Or you record and take notes. It's a good strategy to have two people from your team to conduct each interview. So one can be the interviewer, one can be the note taker. Respect privacy and confidentiality, okay? Thank and debrief them after and remain neutral, okay? As much as possible, don't voice out your own opinion. Again, this is all about understanding. I'll give you an example since some of your politicians here, right, your SK officials. Let's say a community member said something against your barangay captain, okay? And that barangay captain is a ninong of yours, okay? What is the appropriate response? Can you let me know in the chat box? Or anyone can unmute and share their thoughts. Anyone? So, halimbawa, sinabi nung interviewee mo sa barangay, ay naku, si Kap, wala naman yung ginagawa dito sa barangay namin. Puro lang yan papogi sa Facebook. Okay, what's the appropriate response? Anyone who want to try? Okay, go, Debriel. Debriel Jade, are you there? Okay. Sige, you can type it na lang. Sige. So, habang nagta-type si Debriel Jade, any other volunteer would like to share? If you're in this situation, what will you do? Anyone? Any brave heart? Can I ask for a volunteer, please? All right, Ramil, take it away.
Yes po. I-consider po yung answer as valid data po na respond. And then, be professional po. And I mean professional in a way na you will not give your own bias dahil ninong mo siya. Or you will not give your opinion to argue na mali ka, hindi tama yan, dapat ganito siya. No. But instead, i-consider mo yun as correct and i-record mo siya kung ano din yung sinabi para makuha yung correct result po ng survey.
Yes, thank you so much. Palakpakan naman natin si Ramil. So, wag kang magsabi na, ay, grabe ka naman, Nay, bakit mo naman yan sinabi? Ninong ko pa naman yon. So, that's the wrong way to answer, no? So, the correct way would be, oh, okay, interesting. Paano niyo po nasabi na walang ginagawa si Mayor? Pwede niyo po bang ikwento sa amin? Okay? So, yun ang magandang response, di ba? So, meron kang curiosity, hindi mo pinakita na bias ka kahit naninong mo siya and obviously hindi ka nag-a-agree sa kanya. Diba? So you record it, sabi ni Ramil, as valid data and try to dig deeper. Okay? Bakit niya nasabi yung ganitong perspective? Malay mo lang, during the interviews, ang lumabas pala na result is kasi hindi nila alam kung ano yung mga project ni Mayor. Diba? So, you have to be as objective as possible, okay, when you do these interviews. Okay? And tama si Ramil, consider it as valid. Alright? Because when you conduct more interviews, makikita mo naman dyan yung pattern. Diba? You will see, okay, maybe this other person is, siya lang yung nagsabi nun, but the rest is okay naman. Diba? So, it will also tell you something. But, when you conduct the interviews, set aside your own biases, your own ego, and so on. Then before you end the interview, also make sure to synthesize the information you gathered. Okay, i-summarize nyo lang dun sa kausap nyo kung ano yung mga natutunan nyo to make sure that you got them correctly or you understood them correctly. Also ask if there's something they'd like to add or maybe ask them, is there someone who you think I should talk to? So pwede nyo ring itanong yan. Okay? Okay, next slide. All right. So this is how you do typically your empathy work. At Limitless Lab, this is what we do. So we prepare our interview questions. We conduct the actual interview. So typically this would take us 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the number of interviews that we need to conduct. Once we have the interview data, then we will synthesize them, generate insights, and then create a user persona. Okay? So all in all, this process might take around 2 to 3 weeks for us at Limitless Lab. Okay? Maybe 1 to 2 weeks is possible kung medyo rush talaga no yung project. Okay? But despite the time needed, because the empathy part is the most important part of the design thinking process, we still need to do it. We really need to do it because, again, we need to start with the people. And I really like this quote by Plato. And he says, the highest form of knowledge is empathy, for it requires us to suspend our egos and live in another's world. Okay? Very nice quote. No? So I think empathy is a skill that we'll always need in the world, even if we have really amazing technologies now like AI, which will be teaching to you. So very, very important ang empathy. And this skill, if you're able to develop it, can propel your career, whether that's your political career, it's your professional career, and so on. All right, so now we go to generative AI tools. Okay, I told you earlier that typically the empathy process, the step 1 of the design thinking process, for long-term projects or medium-term projects, like the one that you will do, typically takes us 2 to 3 weeks or 1 to 3 weeks. But with generative AI, it can help us now lessen the time in preparing for these interviews and analyzing the data from these interviews. Quick question. During the empathy work, what do you think is the most time-consuming part of the process? Now, when you conduct the interviews, you create personas, and so on. Okay. Very nice answer, Jade. No? So I'm now just reading your answer. So Debriel Jade said, as a public servant and as a psychology student, it's really important that before we give opinion, we must be neutral, but at the same time, make them feel that their feelings are valid. Nice. Do not contradict and i-assess mo yung background ng taong nagsabi. So thank you for that, Debriel Jade. Okay, so going back to the process of empathizing, okay, before we design a solution or innovation, what do you think is the most time-consuming task in the process? Okay, you can put it in our chat box. Ano yung pinaka-time-consuming? Yes, Jose Miguel?
Hello. So, sa tingin ko po yung pinaka time consuming, yung una ay yung analyzing the data. But considering lahat-lahat ng process, I think mas time-consuming dapat yung designing ng question. Kasi dito magsisimula kung makukuha mo ba yung tamang data na gusto mong ikukunin. Very crucial kasi pag yung preparation eh. Pag nagkamali ka ng tanong, baka ulitin nyo lahat yung buong process. So, ayun, 'di ba? Yung pag-a-analyze hindi na rin magwo-work dahil mali yung input na nakuha natin. So, I think dapat mas time consuming yung preparation. Yun lang po.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. No? So, Jose Miguel, yes, the preparation time can be consuming. It's also prone to error, right? Because if you, in the team, for example, you don't agree on the research objectives and so on, then you might come up with questions that are not correct. And that will yield incorrect data as well. At the same time, the interview process, diba, matagal din yung pag-a-analyze ng data, even encoding of your notes and so on, the interviews themselves, if you want to transcribe it, it takes a lot of time, even coming up with analysis and so on. So, ngayon, papasok na natin si generative AI tools. Okay? Because again, that's what's different about this program is we are now utilizing generative AI tools. Okay? And I'm sure all of you are familiar with what Gen AI is. Okay? Now, we have here a definition of generative AI. So what exactly is generative AI? Generative AI, it refers to AI that can create text, images, and insights based on patterns and data, and based on existing data online. Okay, so we have a lot of existing large language models now, such as OpenAI. So for sure, gumagamit kayo ng ChatGPT. Sino dito yung hindi gumagamit ng ChatGPT? Sige nga. Dati palaging ang question, sino dito ang hindi gumagamit ng Facebook? Ngayon, ang tanong na, sino hindi gumagamit ng ChatGPT? So, look at how our technologies are evolving. Meta AI, okay, because free yung Meta AI, di ba? Pero hindi ko pa siya gano'n na-utilize. Sino dito yung hindi gumagamit ng Gen AI? Anyone? Okay, everyone's using it? Okay, well, it makes sense for our generation, right? Ka-generation ko pala kayo. I think most of you are Gen Alpha, no? So Gen Alpha. So generative AI is very useful. It has many use cases, and in governance, it can help in research, policy writing, streamlining decision making, and so on. Okay, so it's again a type of AI that uses machine learning algorithms to create new and original content like images, video, text, and audio. But again, it just uses existing data available to the model. So whether that's from public information online, public data online, and so on. So here's a really nice infographic by the World Economic Forum. So on how Gen AI works. Okay, so you have a database, a neural network. Okay, so we don't know, for example, how OpenAI built their database or their neural network. We just know that it works, right? We don't know the actual sources. Then, as users, tayo, we input a prompt, and the user provides, and the AI provides us with the desired content. So that's number 3. Okay. Now, generative AI has a lot of applications. So this is overall application of generative AI. So we can use it in the typical like content creation via text, right? So for example, if you're making social media content, like captions on Facebook, mga hashtags and so on. So you can use Gen AI for that. You can now also use Gen AI to create music. I remember attending a conference in Laos, and we co-created a music for ASEAN, okay? And the facilitator played it at the end of the session. And it's all generated by AI, but with the input of all the participants on what will be the lyrics and so on. It can be used for art and design. Okay, so for sure you're familiar with DALL-E. Now ChatGPT has the option to create images as well. Virtual worlds. Okay, so we've heard of stories, for example, of people falling in love with virtual or AI personas online, something we don't want, right? Or being obsessed with an AI. So, but that kind of use cases are already out there. It can be used for fashion and product design. It can be used for financial forecasting, okay? Especially if you have available data. Can be used for customer behavior analysis, something similar to what we are doing, right? So user research, demand forecasting, healthcare diagnosis and prognosis. So very important to yung healthcare diagnosis. I'll give an example. So one of our partners, community partners, they have a machine similar to a pap smear, but it's very portable and it can provide results in as early as 1 hour. No? So, hindi na kailangan dalhin pa sa lab and so on. So, ginagamitan niya ng AI. Also, fraud detection. No? So, actually, a lot of the banking apps that we have now, marami na rin yung AI applications. But it's just in late 2022 that generative AI has been accessible to the mass, no, like us, diba? Na anyone can create an account in ChatGPT, anyone can use Meta AI, and so on. So just an overview of some generative AI tools. So for example, for text generation and summarization, so we have ChatGPT, Google Gemini, sentiment analysis for forms, surveys, and so on. So we have Monkey Learn for that, SurveyMonkey. For chatbot and other surveys, so ChatGPT pa rin, TARS. Data analysis can be using Tableau, image video generation, DALL-E, Runway, Midjourney, although Midjourney is paid now, so I don't usually use it. Speech recognition and AI assistant, of course, we have there still Google Translate and OpenAI's Whisper. Okay, so Perplexity, also very famous. Anyone heard of Perplexity before? Can you raise your hand if you've heard of Perplexity or using it? Ayan, so si Debriel Jade, no? So sabi nila, mas magaling daw si Perplexity when it comes to research. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, si Debriel. And even coding, no? So mas magaling si Perplexity dyan. Translation and language support. So we have DeepL, Google Translate. Governance and policy analysis. So I also just recently discovered this. There's a tool called Fiscal Note, which helps you analyze existing policies globally. If you want to craft, or get benchmark from existing policies from other countries. Okay? So lots of available tools online, but for the rest of the program, we'll actually be using ChatGPT. Okay? This does not mean that we're endorsing ChatGPT by OpenAI. So we're not endorsing it. It's just that ChatGPT is the first comer. Okay? And second, we see it as the most accessible as well. So very easy to use now for everyone. Does everyone have a ChatGPT account? Can you say yes in the chat box if you have a ChatGPT account? I see Ollie, Isa. Okay, so if you don't have a ChatGPT account yet, so I recommend that you make one. Okay? All right, sige. So now we'll go into how you can use AI tools, Gen AI tools like ChatGPT to make your empathy work easier, okay, so that you can focus on the more important task, which is conducting the user research and interviews. Okay, so community and stakeholder research for empathy work powered by AI. So Gen AI is very powerful when it comes to unlocking hidden insights, no, in massive amounts of user data. So for example, your transcriptions can be very long, your interviews, di ba? Minsan, ang hirap niyang isa-isahin to get the insights that you need as you go through the design process. And AI can help you unlock patterns and insights about user emotions, needs, pain points that might be difficult for us to detect manually or might take us a lot of time to analyze. So this is what our design process before looked like. Okay? Whenever we're designing a new project at Limitless Lab, we would have all these sticky notes to assess, to look at our interview data, to generate insights, to generate patterns, no, see where we can come in, the opportunities, and so on. Okay? It can be a messy process, right? But it's an effective process. I can tell you that it has worked. It helped us come up with award-winning projects nominated for international awards-giving bodies. But along the way, I noticed that when we do this manual kind of ideation, while it's good, maraming mga ideas na naiiwan or may mga bagay kami na hindi nakikita. Okay? Kasi syempre, tao lang naman tayo, di ba? Parang yung speed of computing of our brains. Okay? Yes, it's good, we're amazing, but now that we have AI, we can even do better things and faster, no, at a speed of a second or millisecond. So that's why we actually encourage the use of ChatGPT in our team. So even as early as 2023, we have come up with an AI policy, AI use policy in the company to make sure that we're utilizing this technology, but at the same time, knowing what's not allowed and what's allowed. No? What are the parameters for us to use it? So the same way as well that perhaps your universities have accepted that you will use Gen AI, right? And you do your work. So now they just need to figure out what are the boundaries when it comes to using Gen AI. At the start of 2024, I actually took a course on AI, specifically how to like be better at prompt engineering and so on. Kasi we wanted to upskill. No? I wanted to upskill myself so that I can later on teach our community members how to utilize this technology. And so this program, actually, I owe so much of how I conceptualize this program to the course that I took, no, on AI by 10xme Academy. All right, so let's talk about prompt writing. Okay, so what are some best practices for writing AI prompts? Number one is to be specific. So clearly define what you want the AI to generate. So avoid vague instructions. So for example, don't tell ChatGPT or AI, create a Facebook caption for Limitless Gov. Okay? That's the wrong way to create a prompt. The right way to write that, for example, would be create a Facebook caption for the Limitless Gov kickoff event, highlighting the importance of AI in this, and share as well that the event was attended by Mayor Gina or so on, or and any other details that you can put. Okay? So always remember that AI or ChatGPT is like your assistant. Okay? But your assistant, he or she, it is very obedient. It will follow you. But while napakamasunurin niya and very obedient, okay, he or she will not go beyond the box. Okay? Kung anong sinabi mo sa kanya, yun lang din yung gagawin. Okay? So if you're able to give good instructions to your assistant, then you'll be able to get good results. Okay? So that brings us to number 2. So provide context. Include background information such as the details of your project, which I'll share with you more later. You can also use structured formats. So for example, you can tell AI to format it in table format, okay? To format it in bulleted format, or can even maybe create a CSV or Excel sheet for you. So that's possible. You can also, number 4 is a very important tip, you can ask for role-based response. So you can say that, act as a mayor, okay? Or act as a teenage mom located in a Sipalay city or an island in the Philippines. And then give it the order that you want. No? So for example as well, generate a response from students' perspective. Number 5, include a tone or style request, especially if you're writing letters or you're writing articles or social media captions and so on. Okay? Number 6, iterate and refine. If the output isn't quite right, rephrase the prompt for clarity and try again. Okay? So one thing I would usually do is, if I don't like the response of ChatGPT, I say, make it better. Okay? Or you can even tell it, can you improve what you just made? Okay? Can you audit yourself? Okay? And then it can give you better responses. Okay? Are there any tips that some of you might be using already that you'd like to share? Sabi ni Debriel, make it relatable. Sige, go ahead, Debriel Jade.
Inang ganun yun, miss. Ano to? Make it relatable and make it simple.
Ah, so yun yung sinasabi mo sa kanya.
Yes, pero I also provides constructive and specific prompts so that mas mapo-point out ni ChatGPT yung kailangan ko talagang information.
Alright.
I do not only rely on it nga lahat-lahat, pero nagpo-provide ako ng constructive na instruction in order na ma-convey yung gusto kong information sa tulong ni ChatGPT at ni Perplexity.
Alright. Thank you so much. Palakpakan naman natin si Debriel Jane. So, very nice sharing, no? So, hindi ko yan ginagamit, Make it relatable. Make it understandable, no? So, or sometimes, I tell it, make it so simple that even a 5-year-old would be able to understand it. Okay? Or give me the step-by-step process, no, in order to do this. Or sabi ni Jemshel, provide detailed information. Okay? All right. So now we go into the actual use cases of using AI in step 1, empathize. So there are 3 main use cases that we would like you to try, okay, for the step 1, empathize. And that is number 1, creating user research interviews, okay, generating user insights from your user research, and the creation of the customer persona. So let's go through them one by one. Oh, okay. This is a nice example prompt pala, no, that we use when we have some projects that we're working on. So for example, we tell it, you are a design thinking specialist helping me design a solution to address blah, blah, blah. You will guide me in the process step by step. Before we begin, ask me questions you need to know to start with step 1, empathize. So you can see at the bottom part, we told ChatGPT or AI to ask you questions first so that you can give it more context. Is that something you have tried before? Na-try nyo na ba yan? Yan. For me, that has been game-changing. Like asking it to ask me questions first so that we are on the same page. Okay? So you can do something similar. But for our activity for the next week until Friday, we have created some prompts that you can use. So number one, for creating user research interviews, so this is something that you can do even after this session. So you can give ChatGPT this prompt. So I am conducting user research for a community project focused on solving, okay, let's say, recycling problems. The issue affects, okay, so you can actually paste content from your design brief. That's what we want you to do. So suppose that you're done with your design brief, you can just copy paste here the overview of the problem. Okay? Then the issue affects, so para kanino, yung users and customers, nandyan din yan sa design brief nyo, and needs urgent action because, okay, then you put the content that you made in the design brief for urgency. After that, you say, generate a structured list of 10 open-ended interview questions that will help me deeply understand the challenges, needs, and emotions of the people affected by the problem. The question should encourage storytelling and uncover personal experiences, motivations, and pain points. Format the output in a numbered list. Okay? So, di ba, napaka-specific nung instructions natin. So, this is the exact prompt that you can use when you create your interview questions. All right, so say that you have generated the interview questions, you have conducted the actual interviews, which is the most important part. Now you can paste the notes that you have, but make sure you don't post any sensitive information, any personal data of your interviewees in ChatGPT. So you can now have this prompt, right? So I conducted user research for a community project focused on solving blah, blah, blah. Huh. Okay, I think this is the wrong prompt. No? So hindi pa napalitan. But I will replace this later on in your worksheet so you will have the correct prompt there. No? So, but essentially, once you have pasted your interview questions, your interview results, your notes, ChatGPT now can help you come up with themes, patterns that it sees based on the interview data that you have. Okay? After that, okay, so step by step natin siyang ginagawa, di ba? You can now ask ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini to create a user or customer persona, a stakeholder persona. So using this prompt. For example, based on the following user research findings, generate a detailed user persona that includes the fields that you have, and then use the following user insights. So this can come from the previous step that you generated. Okay? So at this point, actually, I'd like to call on a volunteer who would be willing to share and maybe do a demo on screen. And ideally, it should be from a group with a completed design brief. Anyone, please? Any volunteers? I'm just gonna open the light here because it's getting a bit dark. Any volunteer? So our volunteer should have access to ChatGPT now and the completed design brief. There, it's open. Any volunteer? Learn, would you like to volunteer since you have a completed design brief? Anyone? No volunteers, really? May mga umalis na, bigla. Okay, Ramil, are you done with your design brief?
Hindi pa po, as I love to.
But do you have some data on your design brief already?
Wala pa din po talaga po.
Okay, sige.
Start pa lang po kami.
Sige. Monday yung deadline natin, ha?
Noted po.
Sige. Sino gusto mag-volunteer? Anyone? Preferably someone using a, what do you call this? Laptop. Come on, any brave heart? Guys, sige na, hindi naman kayo mag-iisip. Si ChatGPT mag-iisip. Ramil, are you using a laptop?
Yes po.
Baka pwedeng i-wing na lang natin yung yung content kahit wala pa talaga kayo.
Ay, sige po.
Sige, try natin ha. So I'll let you share your screen.
Entire screen.
Sige. I'll paste the yung first prompt lang yung kailangan natin.
Okay.
Sige. Let me just pull it up. Okay, so while we are setting up for the others, please don't forget to fill out our attendance sheet. We need it to record your participation to the webinar. All right, sige. Okay, so you're using ChatGPT for Onumi. Sige, so try natin. Okay, thank you, Ramil. No? So you can replace yung overview of the problem. What's the particular problem you're addressing?
This will be the team po namin yung mental health po, no?
Yes. Okay, so you can issue, sige, make it as detailed as possible. All right, sige. Sige, so the issue affects So you can make it detailed, maybe put an age bracket. Are you looking for students, young professionals? And maybe kung meron kayong specific barangay na focus nyo, but I guess hindi nyo pa yun gano'n na pag-usapan, no? So, pwedeng mag-example na lang tayo. Halimbawa, particular barangay in Taytay. Okay, and needs urgent action because, so ano kayang pwede mong ilagay dyan? Okay, depression. Yan. All right, sige, that's good. Sige, we can input it. Okay, yan, di ba? So meron na tayong questions, okay? But syempre, when you see these questions and it's generated by ChatGPT, so you still need to assess if tama ba talaga, no? And if appropriate siya, or you can even ask it to improve it. So Ramil, for example, you can ask it to translate it in Filipino, right? Or Taglish. Sige. Oh, 'di ba? So, pwede mo bang ikwento ang mga personal na karanasan mo? Okay, sige. So, anong feedback mo dito, Ramil, sa mga questions?
Siguro po kung hindi ko siya alam na galing sa ChatGPT, it seems like engaging yung question.
Okay.
Tapos gawa ng hindi siya open-ended question, mas madaming data na personal experiences yung makukuha natin. And then, pang mas madali siyang pang komportabling sagutin siya. Kasi
Yes.
parang welcoming yung tanong niya na pagkakagawa po.
Okay, sige. Pero yung observation ko sa ginawa ni ChatGPT, medyo nawawala yung mga rapport building questions. Diba? So, pwede sigurong sabihan natin siya, can you also add rapport building questions? Like, these are questions that would make your interviewees feel more comfortable talking to you. So, for example, saan ka nag-aaral? Kamusta? Parang ano yung everyday life mo? Ganyan. Sige, tingnan natin kung anong sasabihin niya. Okay, di ba? So medyo weird yung mga ibang questions niya. Paano ang araw mo ngayon? Again, but the thing is, what I like most about using AI is it helps you get started, right? And when you have something to work on, you're not starting from scratch. It makes it easier for you to proceed and edit. So for me, that's the number one benefit of having these tools to ideate with and not having to start from scratch. Yeah. So that's actually it. Palakpakan naman natin si Ramil. Yan. So hopefully you were able to learn from the demo. Okay? Sige. So now, let me go back to my slides. Okay, so as we teach you these techniques, right, in designing programs, going through the design process, always remember that AI cannot do everything for you. AI is just a tool to augment our work, to help us do the not so important things. We're not saying na hindi siya important, pero syempre, ang pinaka-importante naman is yung actual work natin interviewing. The actual on-ground interviews. And that's something na, for me, never magagawa ng AI. Kasi hindi naman makakapag house-to-house yung AI. Diba? Unless may mga robot na tayo nagagawa nun. But still, the human-to-human connection of understanding people's stories, okay, going to their homes, okay, looking them at their eyes, looking them na mata sa mata, puso sa puso. 'Di ba? Yung mga ganong mga bagay, tayo lang yung makakagawa nun. Only humans can do that. So now the difficult things, we can outsource it. Or the difficult and tedious things, we can outsource it to AI. So that's the whole point of this program and these lessons. So some other things to keep in mind. Again, AI is a tool, not a replacement. Empathy always comes first. Start with the right questions. So don't just copy paste from ChatGPT. You need to still review it. You need to assess it and to edit it with your team. Later on, you need to validate as well the insights it will generate. Okay, you have to assess each. Use AI to speed up, not skip steps. And focus on the ethical use of AI as well. And iterate as well now based on the feedback that you get from your team. All right. So now here's our to-do list before we end our session. And I hope you learned a lot. So by Monday, February 3, your team should be able to complete and submit your Vivid Vision and design brief. All right. So we have already sent the Vivid Vision and design brief submission link on your emails, but we'll send it again over the weekend with the recording of today's lesson. Once you have done that, you have until Friday to come up with your user research plan, to conduct the actual interviews with your community, and create your personas until February 7. So we have created a worksheet for you. So it's accessible via this link. So you can scan it. Remember, when you access our worksheets, do not request for editing, okay? Duplicate them and put them in your own team Google Drive folder, all right? So I am still finalizing the worksheet so that I can paste as well the prompts that I shared with you earlier, okay? So actually, I also want to share with you that the process that we're going through is something we're building at the Limitless Lab platform. Okay. Actually, can I ask who here has not created yet an account? The Limitless Lab platform. Anyone? Sino yung wala pang account? So si Ian, okay? So si Ina. All right. So what you need to do for those who don't have an account yet is to talk to your group leader, and the group leader should be the one to create an account first. Once they have created an account in a workspace for your group, they should invite you to the workspace. All right. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so for the team members who are not yet leaders, don't create an account yet. It should be the team leader who will create an account first. When you create an account as a team leader, you will be asked to create a workspace. Once you have created the workspace, you can go to settings, members, and invite your members here using their email addresses. Okay, so again, please tell your group mates your group leaders to create an account for you, and if they have created an account, to invite you in their workspace. No? So the system is still being built, but the exact process that we're doing is what's going to be embedded in the system. So ganito yung magiging itsura niya, and you're going to be one of the pioneer testers and users, no, of the platform. All right, so any questions before we end today's lesson? Any questions? Just raise your hand or put them in our chat box. Any questions so far? John Mark Galang, you have a question? Ina, you have a question?
Yes po, good afternoon po. Nag-expire po ba yung invitation na sinesend ng mga leaders?
Yes, it expires, I think, in 1 day. So you have to create an account once you have sent the invitation right away.
Okay po, thank you po.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, if you don't have any questions, can you please open your camera and we'll have a quick photo opportunity. All right. Okay, we'll wait for the others. Okay, sige. So, hi, hello, Evans. It's nice to see you. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, any other participants who will gustong humabol sa pagpicture? One more time. 1, 2, 3. All right. Happy weekend, everyone. See you next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye po.